So I'm going to try to go through these assignments fast because it's a full page and it can get a little lengthy. So if you feel like stopping and going back or stopping and going forward, you can in the videos if that helps. So we're still looking at the same two-way table that we were looking at on Monday. We're just answering more questions about it, kind of like the relative frequencies that you just saw in the foldable. So some questions you're going to see is, for example, what is the joint relative frequency of a 41 to 60-year-olds who support increasing the minimum wage? So since I see joint relative frequency, I know that it's going to be some joint frequency, so something in the inside compared to something on the total. So I'm going to go to 41 to 60-year-olds who support increasing minimum wage, so they're for it. That is 30 of them. So that's going to be 30 out of my 200. So my calculator, do 30 divided by 200 is 0.15, which is going to be 15%. Okay. So here's another way it could be worded. What percentage of the people surveyed were people over 60 who have no opinion? So what percentage of the people surveyed? That means your total. So I know that my total is now out of 200. So sometimes it helps if you go ahead and write your total out, whatever you know it's going to be. And then it says that they were 60 and they had no opinion. So total is 60 and no opinion. Well, there were 5 of those people that met both of those qualifications. So that would be 5 out of 200. So 5 divided by 200 is 0.025, which when you multiply by 100 is 2.5%. So I expect to be a small percentage because it's only 5 people. Okay, next it says, what percentage of people, so that again is out of my 200, so all the people we surveyed, are for increasing minimum wage? So this one's a little bit different because it says they're for increasing minimum wage. We don't know anything else about them, which means this is a marginal relative frequency. We only care about the people who are for increasing it. So that's 105. So you can do 105 divided by 200, and you're going to get 0.525, which as a percentage is 52.5%. Okay. So sometimes it can be a little annoying to sit here and just recalculate all of this information based on what is asked of you. So a lot of times they'll ask you to create a relative frequency table. So if you see the word relative frequency table, it's different than just a frequency table, which is what you had before. So relative frequency tables takes the values from your normal frequency table, but it compares them to the total. So in other words, it takes the 25 that's here and divides it by your total of 200. And it does that for every single value. So if we've got 20 here, it's going to divide it by 200. 5 divided by 200. Even the totals, 50 divided by 200. So everything is being divided by the 200. So I'll do that real quick. So this can kind of be annoying at the beginning to calculate all these values, but it saves a little bit of time if you're trying to kind of analyze your data and figure out what you know about the people in the survey. Okay, so I expect all of these numbers to be less than 1 because they're all going to be frequencies, like relative frequencies. So when I divide all these numbers, I expect to get something less than 1. So for example, in the first one, I would get that. And usually in the frequency table, you just leave it as a decimal. Sometimes I have seen it as percentages, but most of the time people just leave it as a decimal. And you can convert it to a percentage later if that's what you need. Okay, so you can kind of get the picture here. Like if I calculate 20 divided by 200, I can kind of do that. Go find any of the 20s in here. Like there's another 25, I could put that there. Just so I'm not having to recalculate over and over and over if I can use that number again. I will say if you're doing a problem where you get decimals that kind of keep going on and on forever and ever, 4 decimal places is kind of what I've seen as traditional for rounding. So you can use that unless it says otherwise. Okay, so you can kind of see what this is going to look like. I'm not going to fill it all the way out, but that's what it'll look like when you get it filled out. And then it makes answering questions a little bit easier. So because it says, what percentage of the people surveyed were people aged 60 or more who are against increasing minimum wage, or they have no opinion? So we have a lot going on here. So it says, what percentage of people surveyed? So we know that that's our total percentage. And that should be 1 because 200 divided by 200. What percentage of the people surveyed are people age 60 or more who are against, so let's go to 60 or more, who are against increasing minimum wage, so that's this number. Or they have no opinion, so I didn't calculate that, but it's this. So since it's wanting us to know how many are against increasing minimum wage or they have no opinion, that includes both of these people. So what you would do is you would actually take those numbers and you would add them together to give you both of those people. And you get this. And then if we wanted a percentage, it would be 12.5%. And I'll show you in the this table up here to make a little bit more sense of it. It's saying out of your total 200, in the category of 60 over 60, who are against increasing minimum wage. So they're against increasing minimum wage. So that would be these 20 right here are against. Or they have no opinion. Well, these people also have no opinion. So it doesn't specify which one they need to be. It just needs to be one of these categories. So between the two categories, it's almost like we're kind of putting them together and making one big category. And now there's 25 people that are either against or they have no opinion. I don't care which is which. I just care that they fit one of those topics. So in total, there are 20 plus 5 of them, or 25 out of 200. So that's kind of how you would think about that. What percentage of people are against increasing minimum wage? So percentage of all the people who are against increasing minimum wage would be this number, which is, so this one's a little easier, but just showing you another marginal frequency that you could kind of pull from that frequency table. Okay, so your assignment is to do the back page of this, and it has a table for you to fill out with the relative frequencies at the top, so you can calculate all of those, and then it asks you some questions there.